You tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You try to be provocative on there, don't you? Your feelings about President Biden or President Trump?
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me
doctrine.
like you have your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm.
Well, for
Did
this-
you honestly say that, Professor?
I
And you
believe
expect us,
that the First
as a
Amendment,
Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to America First, the home of unfiltered truth, unapologetic patriotism, and fierce defense of our Constitution. If you're tired of watching the radical left infiltrate our courts, our classrooms, and even our highest institutions of government, then you're in the right place. Make sure you like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss the real story the mainstream media refuses to tell. Today, I want to talk to you about one of the most jaw-dropping moments to come out of the United States Senate in recent memory. Senator John Kennedy, a man who never minces words and always hits the bullseye with common sense, confronted Professor Mary and Franks during a Judiciary Committee hearing. And let me tell you, it was nothing short of explosive. What was on display wasn't just a clash of ideologies. It was a glimpse into the mindset of the radical academic left that is slowly but surely undermining the foundations of this great nation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I apologize for having to miss the testimony of some of you, and I appreciate you coming today. Professor Franks, let me ask you, I listened to your and Ms. Hemingway's testimony and Professor Turley, so I got part of it. As I understand it, your position, Professor Franks, is that, I think you used the word myth. It is a myth that the Biden administration used government to compel speech, private speech, but that the Trump administration is doing that. Is that a fair characterization?
yes, that's correct.
Okay. Do you think perhaps you're allowing your personal political beliefs to affect your objectivity here?
No, I do not. What is guiding my answers here is that I'm looking to see what the Supreme Court has said. You notice that in the testimony about the censorship
Okay.
industrial complex.
I got that part.
No, I just
got
want
that
to
part.
clarify.
No, but I've only got 5 minutes. Your answer is no, as I appreciate it. Let me ask you a couple questions. You wrote a law review article in December of 2023 for the New York University Law Review, and it was about the two cases, Bruin, Supreme Court case, and Dobbs. Remember that article?
Yes, I do.
Okay. In this article, you said, I'm going to quote your words. Taken together, these two cases demonstrate that the Supreme Court has embraced the use of the Constitution as a tool of racial patriarchy, end quote. Did you say that?
Yes.
Okay. And then you went on to say, quote, when the Supreme Court declares that there is a constitutional right to armed self-defense in public, it openly embraces and promotes a culture that privileges white men's ability to terrorize and kill those that they perceive as threats, close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I believe so. Thank you for reading.
Okay. And did you also say in that article, I'm going to quote again, quote, by simultaneously expanding white men's right to kill and constricting women's right not to die, this Supreme Court, referring to the current United States Supreme Court, has turned the Constitution into a homicide pact as well, close quote. Did you write that?
That sounds like me.
Okay. In November of 2024, you tweet, don't you?
I'm not sure what the current terminology is for it, but yes, I am sometimes on the social platform that was formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, you're on a lot, aren't you?
I'm not sure what the relevance of that is.
You try to be provocative on there, don't you?
Again, I'm not sure what the relevance
Well,
of this question
let me
is.
show you the relevance. On November 7th, 2024, from your tweet, here's one of your tweets at 2:41 p.m. Quote, "The majority of Americans hate women. The majority of Americans hate women more than they love anything, including democracy." Close quote. Did I read that correctly?
I am not sure what this has to do with the subject matter of this
Did you
hearing.
say it?
I do not have those words in front of me. I probably said something along those lines, but
Yeah,
what is
you
the
said it.
relevance of
Here
that
it
to
is,
this
big as
hearing?
Dallas, right there.
Yes.
But your political beliefs don't impact your feelings about President Biden or President Trump.
I don't have feelings about either of them. What I have
Sounds
is
to me
doctrine.
like your favorite feeling is anger. Let me ask you this. You issued another tweet. This was in May of 2022. You've just been tweeting up a storm. You said, quote, "There's a reason why the conservative-dominated Supreme Court thinks the Constitution does not contain a right to an abortion, but is convinced that it contains an individual right to possess firearms. And that reason is white male supremacy." Close quote. Did I read that correctly?
Is there a question in this?
Did I read that correctly? That's
Is there
my
a question that is relevant to this hearing?
Did I
And
read that
your
correctly? Do you really think that the United States Supreme Court, you're an officer of the court, is guided by white male supremacy?
I believe that the First Amendment prohibits the president
Did you
and other
say
state
that?
officials for punishing people for
Did
their
you honestly say that, Professor?
I
And you
believe
expect us,
that the First
as a
Amendment,
Democratic witness, to take you seriously? Are you kidding me?
I believe that you should take
You
the First
heard of
Amendment
curb your
seriously, sir.
enthusiasm? Here's my saying, curb my nausea.
Now let's talk about the substance. Professor Franks sat before the Senate and attempted to argue that the Biden administration has not engaged in efforts to compel or censor speech through governmental pressure. According to her, that is a myth. At the same time, she accuses the Trump administration of doing exactly that. This is a textbook example of partisan double standards. Anyone who has been paying attention over the last several years saw how the Biden administration, through agencies like the Department of Homeland Security, attempted to create a so-called Disinformation Governance Board, a government-backed apparatus for policing thought under the pretense of fighting misinformation. Meanwhile, the administration was in active contact with big tech companies to suppress dissenting views on everything from COVID-19 to election integrity. But none of that, according to Professor Franks, qualifies as compelled speech. It's only a problem when Republicans are in charge. Senator Kennedy, in his classic style, cuts straight through the spin. He asked her plainly, "Are your political beliefs clouding your objectivity?" And of course, she denied it. But then Kennedy brought out the receipts, literal quotes from an article she published in the New York University Law Review. In this piece, she accused the current Supreme Court of promoting racial patriarchy. She said the court's recognition of a constitutional right to carry firearms in public empowers white men to terrorize and kill those they perceive as threats. Her words, not mine. That alone is an outrageous statement for any academic to make, but gets worse. She went on to describe the Constitution as a homicide pact in light of the court's gun rights rulings and its decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. This is the kind of inflammatory rhetoric that has become all too common among leftist intellectuals. When the Constitution doesn't give them the outcome they want, they don't just disagree. They declare the entire document to be a tool of oppression. Let me be absolutely clear, this is dangerous. When someone who teaches at a major university starts calling the Constitution a vehicle for violence, they are not engaging in legal analysis, they are engaging in radical activism. And yet this is the kind of person Democrats bring in as an expert witness before the Judiciary Committee. Senator Kennedy then exposed even more of Professor Franks' radicalism by reading aloud from her social media posts. In one tweet, she claimed the majority of Americans hate women more than they love democracy. Think about that. This is someone who believes that most Americans are driven by misogyny. That kind of sweeping condemnation of the American people is not only offensive, it's delusional. And it's becoming a hallmark of left-wing academic thought, the idea that America, at its core, is broken, hateful, and unjust. Another tweet she posted claimed that the reason the Supreme Court recognizes gun rights but not abortion rights is white male supremacy. Let me repeat that. A legal scholar who testifies before Congress genuinely believes that the highest court in the land is guided by racial and gender-based animus. That is not a serious legal argument. That is ideological poison. Now, when confronted with these words, Professor Franks tried to dodge responsibility. She claimed not to have the tweets in front of her, or that they merely sounded like something she might have said. She even questioned the relevance of being asked about her public statements. But Senator Kennedy didn't let her off the hook. He kept pressing because the American people deserve to know who these so-called experts really are. And Kennedy, in a moment of clarity and wit, told her, "You've heard of Curb Your Enthusiasm? Here's my version, Curb My Nausea." That one line captured what many of us were thinking. Because what we saw in that hearing wasn't just offensive, it was nauseating. This wasn't a debate over policy. This was a radical academic unloading a hateful, distorted vision of America in front of the Senate and expecting to be taken seriously. Here's the truth. People like Professor Franks aren't just fringe voices anymore. They're being elevated to positions of influence. They're shaping the minds of young lawyers. They're writing the articles that get published in prestigious law journals. And they're sitting in front of our lawmakers trying to influence public policy. And yet, their views are not just biased, they are openly hostile to our Constitution, our values, and the American people. This is why we fight. Because if we stay silent, these radicals will fill the void. They will redefine our laws, our rights, and even the meaning of the Constitution. But we will not let that happen. Not on our watch. So to all of you watching, stand strong. Stay informed. And most importantly, speak up. We must not allow our institutions to be hijacked by those who view the Constitution as an obstacle rather than a shield. Let's continue to hold our leaders accountable, to expose the truth, and to defend what makes this country exceptional. If you support what we do here at America First, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this message far and wide. Together, we can shine a light on the darkness spreading through our institutions. Thank you for watching. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.